It's now time to review some of the headlines of today's newspapers from around the world. Emmanuel Efene will take us through the top stories.
Yes, Ruben, I'm here. Yes, I'm here. Now let's start the review with this day, Nigeria's newspaper of record. The lead story, Wike-Tinubu's Pact is real. He will work for us, says Ibrahim Masari. Confident, excuse me, deal with Rivers governor won't affect Amechi. Buhari, I will try. I will not betray, undermine APC by supporting candidates of other party. Disowns defectors. Those who sued party warns government officials against loose talk. Dogara, Babacha meet IBB, Abdul Salami over Muslim ticket. Then, of course, above the lead story, which is related, PDP will win 25 states, majority in National Assembly seats despite crisis. Dagogo plans 10 million man march for Atiku in Niger Delta. Lamido cracking PDP's unity war, says Wike's aide. Yes, I got the point that Dagogo will be organizing 10 million man march. But the point I was actually making is that as a repose to Wike's influence will not go beyond Rivers. That was the point I was even trying to make. That is, if indeed he controls the heart and mind of Rivers people, like he's claiming, where I tell them to go, they will go. Well, for many years, Rivers has been a PDP state. Will Wike just swing the entire Rivers votes? I don't know the magic he has. Maybe he has a magic wand. But just telling the people, vote this way, and they will just go. Like, I don't want to use certain words Fela used to sing, one of his famous things. And they will just go like that. Because Wike has said, Wike that will become an ordinary citizen by May 29 next year, will influence Rivers people in one direction. Well, left to be seen. But the issue this morning is that indeed he's working with Bola Ahmed Tinubu, although we've not heard from him, because these politicians, he will come out tomorrow, maybe during the launching of one of his projects, and he will say, I heard, some people said, I said, and maybe the story. But Alhaji Ibrahim Masari, famous placeholder, running mate, has given that revelation that he was there when they met, that indeed they are working, they are talking, they are cooperating. Some have asked, what will happen to Amechi? Amechi seems to have gone into the cooler since he lost gallantly at the convention, and many of his aides have left, going to the PDP, some of his allies. And now Wike wants to go and support APC candidates. What will that make of Amechi's political? But you know, one thing that is common to Amechi, Nyesom Wike, and Magnus Abe, they've always been friends. Magnus Abe has gone to another party. He's running on the ticket of another party. But he said he's working for Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Now, Wike is talking to Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Of course, Rotimi Amechi has not shown any anti-party traits. So they may just meet at the table of Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Maybe Bola Ahmed Tinubu will become the unifying factor of these old friends who became foes in the course of time. But we'll see how it pans out. Of course, Ayu boasting there that PDP will win 25 states. But perhaps the basis of his boast is that PDP as a party has structures across the country, and you only need to rev up those structures. And of course, look at what is clearly the failings of APC in the last 7 years and counting, because many Nigerians are tired, they are disgusted of the last 7 years. That one is a no-brainer. You talk to ordinary men on the streets, they recall what now look like good old days, Ruben, when you were in power, and Nigerians will say, we're buying the bag of rice for how much? They want to go back to those old good days. Can even a PDP government in 2023 return the price of rice to what it was, or even change the price of fuel to what it was, when we're all saying we should remove subsidy? But again, the voters at the appropriate time, they will decide what. So politicians can make permutations, 25 states, but at the end of the day, it's the people who will vote, and we hope with INEC right on the top of its game, the people's vote will count, and whoever the people decide should be the next president, that is what is going to happen. Now, the Punch newspaper reported, PDP UK meeting, PDP worries over Wike, NWC meets governorship candidates. Wike making PDP's effort to liberate Nigeria difficult, says BOT member. Events worrisome. Wike interest cannot supersede parties. Makarafi, chairman. When Wike speaks, Rivers people listen. Aide replies as Governor Lamido. Of course, an aide of Governor Nyesom Wike came out yesterday to lambast Sule Lamido, who said nobody has offended Wike, so there's nothing to reconcile. But I thought that was like adding little petrol into the matter, because clearly Wike is aggrieved for Atiku Abubakar, the presidential candidate of PDP, to send emissaries, delegations to go and meet with Wike's men, tells you that all is not well. So Sule Lamido is now trying to say, no, nothing is happening. I don't think he has helped the matter as an elder of the PDP. If he has nothing new to say, perhaps if you just keep quiet. Most elders always talk, because clearly there's problem in the PDP to say there's nothing, and Wike is at the heart of the matter. And they are making efforts to placate him. Whether they can do so successfully is another matter altogether. Now, the Daily Trust newspaper, I won't support Atiku, others against Tinubu, Buhari. President will fail woefully if he contests again. Former VP, voters, not your support will determine winner, Labour Party. Atiku meets Wike in London. Yes, I think it was very timely for President Muhammadu Buhari to also make that clarification, because the idea that a northern candidate will be his preferred choice, because don't forget that, of course, just before the convention, the chairman of the party came out to say that the president has anointed somebody, Dr. Ahmed Lawan, the Senate president. And for those of us who sat through the night watching the APC convention, as people were stepping down, one aspirant stepping after others stepping down for Bola Ahmed Tinubu, we saw the countenance of President Muhammadu Buhari from the ebullient person that walked into that convention, and of course, he looked like somebody who was not happy with the development. But this statement by the president himself, I won't support Atiku, others against Tinubu, I'm sure it will be reassuring in the camp of Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, clearly. Now, if we look at other stories, perhaps we'll return to some political reports later. No, let's look at the Nation newspaper, because it has a political story also. Yeah, 2023, my support is for APC candidates only, says Buhari. Ex-members contesting other parties are on their own. Aggrieved APC senators shelve defection plans. Now, the Daily Independent newspaper, federal government bars states from intervening in deplorable federal rules. Award firms 718 million contracts to secure Abuja rail tracks stations. Discloses why Abuja Kaduna train services won't commence now. Now, this story I find very, I won't say interesting, very worrisome, because a number of major federal roads are in deplorable condition. The Ota-Abeokuta road is in a very deplorable condition. There were protests sometimes there where the people were asking Dr. Abiodun, the governor of Ogun State, to come and do something. Because it's the citizens of Ogun State that use that road and Lagos State. So if the federal government is not ready to do something, and the state governments want to ameliorate the pains of the people, so why would that be a problem? The case of Benin, Warri Road, is another very deplorable situation. Recall that in April, I was going to Warri. I flew into Benin. It took me 1.5 hours to leave Edo State because of the deplorable state of that road. Last month, the people of that area protested for 2 days, and they were calling on Godwin Obaseki, the governor of Edo State, to come and fix the road. They don't want to know whether it's a federal road or not. Now, the federal government is saying states should not touch the roads. And they are not doing anything about these very deplorable roads. So, they have to find a solution. Either the federal government should be attending to all roads where there are problems, federal roads, major roads for that matter, very critical roads that have economic impact on the lives of the people, and you are saying they shouldn't touch the roads. So I think President Muhammadu Buhari should review that stance. Don't touch my roads. If you are not ready to do it, go and let the state government help, and you reimburse them. Because it's the citizens of those states that suffer. And they cannot go to Abuja and be looking for Babatunde Fashola, who is the Minister of Works. It's the state governors they know. If they are feeling pains, they cry to their state governor, they protest to their state governors. They even call them out as if they are not performing because of federal rules. So I think this situation there should be another look. They should take another look at that policy. If you are saying you want proper costing of the work done by the state government, of course, there are best practices. People can evaluate, experts can evaluate work done and what should be given as reimbursement to the states when they attend to such roads. Now, the Guardian newspaper, Nigeria's The Guardian newspaper, idle refinery workers earn 136 billion naira amid $3 billion upgrade cost. Community leaders lament local content violation. 2 million naira bribe per job slot. NNPC silent as stakeholders raise concerns over profitability refinery project. Of course, our refineries continue to be a very sad tale of this country, how we have mismanaged things. Refineries not working. Of course, the federal government recently paid some money for rehabilitation of those refineries. I hope that rehabilitation will not be completed after May 29, because for now, not much is going on. But the workers are receiving their pay. They are receiving their pay, 136 billion naira. That's what the refineries workers are earning. Yet they are not working. But that is a sad situation. Let's just look at the New Telegraph newspaper. Here, the New Telegraph newspaper, aftermath of Wike-Tinubu meeting, Atiku in London in fresh effort to placate Wike. Rivers governor may work for Tinubu. Masari says he doesn't have to leave PDP. Yes, that is even the sad part. Working within the party and working against the party. Now, the Business Day newspaper, Central Bank of Nigeria's 10 products to cut food imports disappoint. Yes, as security, supply chain shocks dampen production. Yes, that was some, you recall that at the time we thought, or some were even saying is the CBN governor, the Minister of Agriculture. But his intervention were quite on point, geared towards making Nigeria self-sufficient in certain products. Of course, stopping direct allocation of forests to those products. But the effort seemed to have been, of course, thwarted by the insecurity, because farmers, a lot of people took money under the Anchor Borers program, are having tough time. Supply chain shocks, of course, insecurity, which pervade our countries, and many farmers are finding it difficult to go to their farm. Now, the foreign newspapers, now the Daily Telegraph, Johnson, we are paying higher bills. Ukraine is paying in blood. Yes, Prime Minister urges public to endure cost of living crisis to support Kiev on visit to mark 6 months since Russia's invasion. Yes, that was a very sound speech because, of course, to galvanize European support for Ukraine that has been invaded by Russia. And although the citizens of UK and other European countries are feeling the impact by way of this cost of living crisis, he just had to remind them, but the Ukrainians are paying something higher. They are paying with their blood. And as such, cost of living is something they should just bear while they try to help Ukraine to be a country that can decide its own future and its own fate, not what somebody thinks in Russia. Now, the Financial Times of London, the Financial Times, cost of doing business crisis looms as company fuel bill rise fourfold. Sounds familiar. Our companies in Nigeria are also having this kind of problem. Now, the Wall Street Journal, Biden to cancel student debt for millions, plan to forgive up to $20,000 in loans after long internal debate. Could face legal hurdles as well. But is that just for to soften the ground ahead of the midterm elections, Ruben? But I think that policy has been in the works for some time.
Yes, but politicians.
And Adesuwa over there.
Politicians find a way of linking everything to their own major goals. But quickly, let me talk about Prime Minister Johnson visiting Kiev on the occasion of the Independence Day and the 6-month anniversary of the invasion of Ukraine by the Russians. Well, many world leaders have been visiting Zelensky to express their support for the people of Ukraine and to show their objection to Russia's persistent effort to violate or circumvent the global international order in terms of rules, whether it's with regard to nuclear energy or atomic energy or any other thing. But the point that Prime Minister Johnson made that I think should be remembered, he was telling the British people that, look, we have to make this sacrifice because it is Ukraine today that, Russia has invaded. If Russia gets more confident, it will invade other neighboring countries, and that all countries within Europe, are not safe, and that you cannot allow autocracy right at the doorstep of any country in Europe. I guess, yes, at the level of, diplomacy, that's excellent talk. The only thing, however, is that Prime Minister Boris Johnson is on his way out. Yes. And another Prime Minister will step in on September 5. But his visit, I think, is in order. The same statement that he made was made by Emmanuel Macron, more or less. But Matteo Salvini of Italy, sounded quite different. He was saying, look, sanctions on Russia should be lifted. But in any case, Matteo Salvini is a far-right politician. But the reality is that in the UK, there is cost of living crisis. There is cost of doing business crisis. By tomorrow, Ofgem is going to announce a price cap that will translate into greater hardship for the average person living in the UK. Even if in terms of gas supply, the UK is in a more secure place because it has even stopped importing petrol or gas from Russia. But in the rest of continental Europe, all the countries are suffering more. They have to reduce gas consumption by about 15%. That's what Switzerland has decided. That's what Spain has decided. That's what Germany has decided. Other countries are following suit. So many European countries are saying, instead of investing in humanitarian aid in Ukraine and in weaponry. Is it not better to take care of our own immediate crisis at home? But Prime Minister Johnson's intervention is a way of, appealing not just to the British, but also to the European allies, not to abandon Ukraine. And I think that is important. As for Nigeria, you were talking about government saying anybody that touches federal roads will not be reimbursed. Yes, I get your argument, but this is not new. You recall that earlier, before the 2019 general election, the Buhari administration had made a similar statement that, look, if you go and do federal government road and you bring bills to the federal government, you are on your own. At that time, I think the federal government paid Kogi State, paid Osun State, and there were concerns that why were those two states singled out? The big problem here is that all these states, they inflate the bills. They do the roads, yes, the interest of the people, that's what they're serving, because they are the subnational unit nearest to the people. But how do you ensure transparency? How do you ensure accountability? The federal government of Nigeria has a monitoring and evaluation unit. Many of these states go ahead without proper reference to the federal government. There is Federal Ministry of Works across the federation. So federal government will say, why will you go and touch federal road? You will not clear with Federal Ministry of Works. You will not submit your papers. Then you will come and just bring a big figure you want to make claims. So it's important for the subnationals also to ensure a proper synergy with the relevant departments of the federal government rather than relying on just bringing receipts and quoting inflated figures. That's where the problem lies.
What do they do at the National Council of Works if they cannot sign all this
That's
together?
why I'm calling for synergy.
Yeah.